The Houston Texans are still in on CJ Stroud. But after two bad games this playoffs, I think a majority of Texans fans are out. For those who are still in, I want to know what excuses you're still making for them and if there's any validity to any of those excuses before I give you the best and only one available. I'm Paul Gallant. This is the Gallant Says podcast live on January 27th, 2026. Hit it!
A radio show host in Seattle called Paul Gallant.
Paul Gallant's wondering the same things a lot of people wonder.
You are definitely living in the hindsight world today, Paul.
I was just kind of curious what Paul gets to see.
You grow up, motherfucker. You kidding me? Paul Gallant, what the hell is wrong with you?
Oi! Welcome aboard the Gallant Says podcast live on YouTube at Paul Gallant. Like and subscribe. On Twitch at Gallant Says. Give me a follow. I'd appreciate a sub. On X at Gallant Says pod. On TikTok at Gallant Says. On Facebook at Paul Gallant Sports. And on Instagram at Sports Gallant. You can get it after the fact wherever you get your podcasts, Apple Podcasts, and on Spotify. It's been an interesting last couple of days. If you are a Houston Texans fan, I understand why some people are perhaps in denial. Others have buried their head in the sand. You want nothing to do with football for the next few months. I don't blame you on that front. I don't blame you. Do you want to watch this Super Bowl where you're going up against a team that beat you because you kept shooting yourself in the foot? A Plaxico Barris experience and then some? No, probably not. And I think the worst part of all is that while I don't know that the Texans are going to give CJ Stroud a contract extension, they are going to give him that fifth-year option. And he is going to be here for the foreseeable future. 2026, 2027, and maybe a little bit of 2028. With that in mind, I can understand why a lot of people out there are making excuses for what was a bad postseason. He stunk in both of those games. He didn't make plays unless they were for the other team. Paul, he made some good throws. Stop. Just stop. Okay? Thanks. When you're looking at him going forward, I really want this as we get closer and closer to this Super Bowl. I really want Texans fans to stop looking at what Drake May did in this playoff run and trying to make the comparisons. Because May's statistics, not impressive, but the playmaking ability, it was there. And not accidentally like the play that CJ Stroud made against the Los Angeles Chargers a couple of years ago. Drake May had that beautiful touchdown throw, which he has done before, past Derek Stingley to Kayshon Boutte. Drake May had that scramble for a first down on 3rd and 6 when the Patriots had called a run. He dialed that one up on his own. Don't compare Drake May to CJ Stroud. Stop saying Drake May didn't play that well either. Played way better than Stroud. Tired of seeing it. Paul, you're a little biased on the front. Sure, but come on. No one here has any room to criticize anybody. So I want to say that first, because I've heard that a couple of times. I've seen that a couple of times. Drake May's not that good. Shut up. Look at what CJ Stroud was in these playoffs. Go get your shine box, okay? Before we go through all the excuses I'm seeing, many of them are being made online by a variety of different people. I'm going to give you the one excuse you can use. And this is the only one. Texans couldn't run the ball this season. That's the only excuse I'm going to allow. And it comes with this cherry on top. Hate on this all you want, but it's time to give CJ Stroud something that we call a henna tattoo. Ever heard of a henna tattoo before? These are tattoos that people put on. It's generally the youth that puts these tattoos on. It lasts for a while, but it's not permanent. The Gen Zs, the Alphas, they love these. There's some people my age that probably like them as well. This is the henna tattoo we're giving him. He's a game manager. He's a game manager. He needs a running game to succeed. Bro, what are you talking about? Did you see what he did his rookie season? That is 2 years ago. It is the ancient past. He's a game manager until he proves otherwise, and he needs an offense that is built around him handing the football off. Sure, he can throw from time to time, and people take the term game manager as an insult. But guess what Stroud didn't do in either game this postseason? He didn't manage the game. So you got to get back to basics. You can't turn the football over. Get back to being a game manager. Game managers win Super Bowls all the time. Tom Brady's first Super Bowl, he was a game manager. You can get better over time, we hope. We'll talk about that tomorrow, based off of a Sam Darnold quote after the conference championships. But Stroud is a game manager, and going forward, I'm looking at this Texans team and telling myself, if I'm Nick Caserio, if I'm DeMeco Ryans, the only way we can make this game manager take the next step is if we actually give him a situation where he can be this game manager and an offense that's going to ask him to do the death by 1,000 cuts route, which he didn't seem to enjoy that much. But I want to see your excuses, and we will go through some of the very unacceptable excuses. You can bring them in on Instagram at Sports Gallant. You can bring them in on YouTube at Paul Gallant. Like and subscribe if you haven't already. You can do it on Twitch at Gallant Says. Day Zero Largo says, love the Bernie Fine Beanie, Paulie. Well, some of us could go to college. I don't know about you, buddy boy. When we look at what the Texans are, it's a team that has to look at itself in the mirror and say, we got a great defense. We need a quarterback that's going to hand the football off to a running back and an offensive line that can block for running backs. That's better than what we saw this past season. That's the key going forward. Because Stroud's a game manager. I know a lot of people don't want to hear that. But, I mean, what do you think this is at this moment in time? It's a team with a great defense and a quarterback that keeps on turning over the football. That's how it goes. Some of the excuses that I've seen that have been fun ones. Did anyone see this one from noted scholar Aqib Talib last week? And I saw a bunch of people that are Texans content creators that were pointing at what Talib said as, finally, the voice of reason here. Okay, bud. Sure. Here is Denver Broncos wearing jersey, Aqib Talib, talking about Mr. CJ Stroud at some point last week.
We talking about CJ like he's in year 6 or 7 or 8. Like this CJ third year, and he 3-3 in the playoffs. Yeah. Like there's a lot of quarterbacks can't say that. You know what I'm saying? He get to the playoffs. The year y'all talking about he balled, he did all this. He was 1-1. Yeah. The next year he was 1-1. Mm-hmm. This year he was 1-1. All right. He had a rough ass 2 games with a whole lot of.
Uh-oh. Technical difficulties. Oh, no.
Turnovers. Defense kind of, stood up.
Yeah,
for
a
him.
rough
but
season.
That's football. A rough season. Yeah,
Played
Broncos
good
put
all
that sleep.
season.
I mean, he ain't looked good all season, but they won 11 straight games.
They did.
And they won a playoff game.
Yeah.
So he had to do something.
He submarined his own excuse right there. My favorite part of this, and this is who I got to compete with now, unfortunately, in the sports media landscape. I got to compete with athletes that are saying, he wasn't good all season, but he had to do something. What did he do? He turned the football over 4 times. Kilocheck123 points out, Stidham played better than CJ Stroud. He's a right-handed Tim Tebow. Yeah, there's a lot of God talk with that guy. Coach Bojangles says, May hasn't played well. Just because CJ was worse doesn't mean May played well. May won the game against the Broncos with that scramble. May had the touchdown pass to Kayshon Boutte. Has he fumbled the football? Sure, he has. But I'm getting annoyed with the people here that are like, oh, May didn't play well. He played way better than C.J. Stroud did. He made plays in that game despite an offensive line that couldn't protect his blind side. What does this city constantly do as we talk about the excuses that are made for C.J. Stroud? Oh, his offensive line. Oh, God, it's terrible. Aqib Talib there says, well, he hasn't been in the NFL for 6 years. Okay, you're talking about him, though, like he's a rookie at year 3. Oh, he hasn't been in the league that long. 3 years, that's enough for a pension. That's a damn long time to be in the league. Are you going to constantly pat him on the head like he's a toddler? Especially when you're saying a little bit later, he wasn't good all year. Oh, it's weird. Some of the excuses that are being made. I'm seeing a lot of it in the local media, by the way. More excuses that we've seen for CJ Stroud, who I think is a game manager, over the last couple of days. This was Cam Newton, who also was described as a voice of reason by Texans content creators for what he says here. This is right after the Texans had lost to the Patriots.
Yes, but you have to understand, when you're evaluating a certain player, it's hard to evaluate what you just didn't have. You are already working at an uphill, battle with a sprained ankle and your knee brace scrubbing, and it's raining and drizzling on the slippery slope. It's just tough. When you have Nico Collins that's out, when you're very limited to, the playmakers that's around you, C.J. Stroud is still a young player that needs help. He had a lot of help from his defense, and even with the turnovers, he still had opportunities to win this football game. These are times or defining moments in careers that you have to say to yourself, going into the offseason, hey, I have to be better here. Now, understand that I have to be better. D'Amico Ryans and that whole organization also has to get talent equipped enough for him to be better, to not necessarily want to do more, but to have the help to do more.
Again, now, if you can get past looking at that hat of his, Paul, look at your hat right now. Fair point. If you can get past looking at that hat, Newton is saying, yeah, he wasn't good enough, but you got to give him more. What more can you give him? You drafted a receiver in the 2nd round. You drafted a tackle in the 2nd round. You drafted a receiver in the 3rd round. What more can you give him? You've given him plenty. You got to make it work with what you have, or accept the fact that this offense that he's got around him needs to focus its efforts on an offense where Stroud's handing the football off and being that game manager. But this is what I'm seeing being pushed as the voices of reason for Stroud and his struggles. It's Aqib Talib and Cam Newton. So I'll once again ask those who are making excuses for CJ Stroud, give me good ones. Give me good excuses. I don't think it's that hard. Jacob Ross says on the Tick of Talk, he's way too soft, too emotional. He gets in his own head. I do think he gets in his own head. Court says it's time to give Stroud the good old boot. Ain't happening, bro. Andor Bay. I don't see sex. I'm going to use that line going forward, huh? Let's see what other excuses that have been made for Stroud over the last couple of days. It's not all lost with your game manager quarterback. This was a post from Big Sarge Sports last week. Hashtag hear me out. There was bad quarterback play all weekend. Those playoff games didn't impress me at all, looking at the way the quarterbacks underachieved. ... Hashtag Sarge. And maybe I need to have Sarge on at some point. But it's almost like you're trying to blend it all together. There was one very strong taste that is going to overwhelm all of the 7 other performances from the divisional round. Stroud's was the worst. I've seen a lot of this, and it does lend itself back to perhaps a little bit of undertones when it comes to how certain groups look at Josh Allen in the same way that certain groups have looked at Lamar Jackson. There seems to be extra scrutiny for quarterbacks that look different from you or me. Perhaps it is something that is intentional. Perhaps it's unintentional. But I saw some people trying to say that Stroud's performance last weekend, or I guess, 10 days ago, I can't do math, was similar to that of Josh Allen's performance. And that, to me, also crazy. Josh Allen kept the Bills in the game. I mean, I get it. You might think to yourself, Allen's turnovers are why Denver ultimately advanced to the AFC Championship game. And I mean, that is mostly true, but that also would have been a terrible game if not for some big plays that were made by Josh Allen. So seeing people try to blend all the quarterback performances from that weekend, or maybe from this past game, I think that's wild. That's not an acceptable excuse to me. More excuses that we are seeing from those who cover the Texans and cover CJ Stroud. We've got, and I like this guy as well. I think I have to say that these days so that they'll continue to retweet my posts and like my posts. But I was surprised to see this one from Texans Jacob, who I guess is talking more about the total some of the parts than specifically CJ Stroud with these two that I had highlighted as I wait for them to load. It's taking a little bit of time. Taking a little bit of time. What do we got? Come on, load, baby, load. Here we go. CJ Stroud totally crumbled in this postseason, but I don't think this season was all bad for him, and he can grow off the regular season play. He had 2 different stints, being top 13 in EPA per play. Before the concussion, he was having one of his best rushing quarterback seasons. He cut down on his sack taking and throws with pressure in the regular season. 16-5 touchdown to interception ratio when kept clean this year with a 100+ rating. There were reasons to believe he's growing as a quarterback in this regular season. Then he uses the picture of C.J. Stroud looking like he is crying coming off the field. I think he was just breathing into his hand probably at that moment in time. At least we hope that. Are you taking that excuse going into the offseason and saying, yeah, C.J. Stroud, he's more than a game manager? Personally, I'm not. I also had this. This is, again, an excuse for the big picture more than it is for Stroud. I really struggle to see where this negative outlook for the Texans next season is coming from. Even with the disappointing end to the season, top 10 draft capital in this class versus Tankathon. Oh, fucking A. Very few impactful free agents with cap flexibility this offseason. Young cores on offense and defense that should continue to progress with added talent in his second year in the scheme on offense. This team is still in a really good spot. I mean, you're stuck with this quarterback, though, that seems to freeze when the lights shine the brightest. You don't want that. It's bad, don't you see? It is bad. We want things that are good, not bad. Do you understand what I'm trying to say here? Do you understand what I'm trying to say? Good is better than bad. And I feel like for some of the excuses being made for Stroud, we got to dig a little bit deeper. It can't just be over and over again, he's young, he needs time, blah, 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 blah. Seeing way too much of that. What else do we have as far as excuses being made for C.J. Stroud? Do we like this one from Derek Lewis? Derek Lewis, noted squabber extraordinaire. This is what Derek Lewis had to say about C.J. Stroud and why things haven't been going so well. I think this one may be a little bit less proof in the pudding, but here we go. This is more excuses for C.J. Stroud, this time from an MMA guy.
What moves would you like to see the Texans make for next season?
I guess we got to see what's going on with CJ. I think ever since we seen him show up with Amber Rose at the softball game a few years ago and Kim Kardashian and all that, and I'm like, damn, it might be like a curse for him.
Amber Rose / Kim Kardashian. Is that why things aren't going so well for C.J. Stroud? Would you accept that as an excuse? Would you? I don't know that I would personally, but that's just me. Excuses for C.J. Stroud. What's acceptable and what's not? You know how to do it. On YouTube at Paul Gallant, on Twitch at Gallant Says, on Facebook at Paul Gallant Sports, on Instagram at Sports Gallant, don't you know? That's the way it goes. It is sometimes suboptimal when you've got a game manager quarterback. You would like to have more, but if that's all you got, you gotta run the ball. You like that song, everybody? That's the we have a game manager quarterback in C.J. Stroud and need to have more than a game manager quarterback in C.J. Stroud. But since we are stuck with C.J. Stroud, we now must figure out a way to make this offense better around the game manager, which is to run the football better. What other excuses do we have for C.J. Stroud's performance over the last couple of days? We got some whataboutisms. I saw my guy, DJ Bieneme, saying, hey, well, Justin Herbert shit his pants against the Texans last season. We didn't see this kind of backlash for Herbert. Well, Less so nationally because no one gives a shit about the Chargers, which is why they never make it to the Speak for Your Pizza TV shows, even with Jim Harbaugh and Herbert on top of that. They just don't make it. No one really cares that much about them. So that's one of the things about it. But the other thing is, the reason you're not seeing this kind of discourse about Herbert last year is because you're here in Houston. The discourse about Stroud, I agree with pretty much all of it. And he gets the henna tattoo of game manager until otherwise. Whiskey Tango Foxtrot asks, Paul, would you let CJ play quarterback for my flag football team? Only if he gives me the ball every single play. Every single play. Really, my big issue with if I go play flag football again, which I'm thinking about, but a lack of insurance makes it a little bit dicey, is am I going to get on the field or am I going to have my looks held against me? Paul, you look too metro to play football. Paul, you look a little bit sickly and pasty. Too much to play football. Senior Larry 77 says CJ can easily be Sam Darnold or Baker Mayfield with another team. We can't let that happen? Or why let that happen? Yeah, maybe you're trying to make this work. It's an arranged marriage, though, or a marriage that you're not thrilled about. And are you going to be a good Catholic and keep on fighting the good fight? Or are you going to be a little slutbag and start looking at other quarterbacks? These are the questions that people ask. Specifically, by questions, I mean me. YouTube at Paul Gallant. Twitch at Gallant Says. Facebook at Paul Gallant Sports. TikTok at Gallant Says. Instagram at Sports Gallant. This is how you watch the show, don't you know? This is how it go. Yes, this is the way. Yes, it is. Just watching while I'm bruising the bolt. Hell yeah, user 30677481679. Hell yeah, bro. That's a good way to keep warm. I've got my bowl to keep me warm. King Tech says CJ needs to go back to Little League. Well, that's not allowed unless he identifies as a youth. You know? Day Zero Largo says CJ is going to get Paulie's Sierra abuse. That's the best one you've made about Syracuse yet. Jesus. Largo, that's probably your best one. You're going to have to use Syracuse. Or you go find the other podcast that talks about the Astros that every now and then, but you'd have to go to YouTube for this. But that you got to use that again. That's pretty damn good. That's pretty damn good. Yeah, guys. Don't have much else to bring to the table. I'm still trying to figure out what time we do this show. Do we do it in the morning? Do we do it in the afternoon? Do we do it at night? Because I am at that moment in time where the more prep that I put into these shows, the less time that I have to find a real job, which is what your boy's going to have to do. You know? It's what your boy's going to have to do. King Tex comments on the TikTok. And I don't know why the TikToks aren't showing up today. And it's annoying me. It's annoying me so, don't you see? Very much so. We can't have that kind of thing. But a comment from, where did it go? I had it a second ago. This chat box, this chat system, it's like called Ninja Social, what's it called? Social Ninja Stream. It should be better than it actually is. But it's not a very good app. It's just not a very good app. Like, I have to open up all these windows. It's very annoying. Very, very annoying. I've got my love to keep me warm. This is wild. Some of the comments are showing up. Some of the comments aren't showing up. Who's the ex-military guy? Who's that? I don't know who that is. King Tex asks this question, though. Can we please trade for Lamar Jackson or Joe Burrow? Probably not. Probably not. Unless you hold a gun to Mike Brown's head. And that's not allowed. You can't strong-arm a owner with kidnapping or violence into trading away a top quarterback. It just does not work that way. This isn't Civilization 3. You ever played the game Civilization 3? You ever played it? I'll admit that I probably play it a little bit too much. It's like a little addiction that I got, you know? And it's one of those things where when I'm playing it, like I just can't figure it out. Can't figure out how to win on the highest difficulty setting, and yet I keep on going back and playing it. It's what some would call an addiction. Yes. Yes, an addiction. You know, addiction, it's something that's not great. It's something that's not great. Brandon Hallam comments, Drew Lock, Tommy DeVito being a Super Bowl champion after this week is diabolical. Yes, you are. Right on that front, sir. Yes, you are. Yeah, I don't got a whole lot else to say about anything right now, guys, you know? I do think at some point, and hopefully I got to figure out how to show all of the chats at once. Sometimes it works. Other times it doesn't. I don't understand why. I just don't understand why, everybody. You know? It should work a lot better than it does, but it just don't do what it's supposed to do. What else do we have? What else do we have? Yeah, that's it. That's all I got. I've been just filibustering for the end of this show. I think we're going to do tomorrow's show at 7. We're going to do daily shows until the Super Bowl and the day after the Super Bowl. We're probably changing up the schedule after that moment in time. Cut me some slack. Trying to figure out how to monetize this thing, and we're not making a whole lot of money off of it. As you can tell, it's a very amateurish production featuring a person who kind of looks like a homeless person, you know? But we appreciate everybody for stopping by. If you haven't already, please like this video and subscribe on YouTube. You could do the same thing on TikTok, like this video. I'd really very much appreciate it. I'm going to keep talking with this strange Southern accent as long as I possibly can, because I find it fun. And also, the last time I did speak with the Southern accent, no matter how much of an abomination it was, I somehow got 1.5 million views. It really goes to show you that the algorithm god is a cruel son of a bitch. But we appreciate everybody. Twitch at Gallant says, follow, subscribe, do what you must. X at Gallant says pod. Instagram at Sports Gallant. YouTube at Paul Gallant. Twitch at Gallant says. On Apple Podcasts, search the Gallant Says podcast. On Spotify, search the Gallant Says podcast. Subscribe, rate, review. Bye-bye. So long. Farewell.
Farewell and adieu to you fair Spanish ladies. Farewell and adieu, you ladies.